How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today we got stories of spoiled kids. I know for a fact you'll enjoy it. So sit back, relax, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and let's just jump right into it. So we're going to call the subscriber who submitted the first story Teddy. So anyways, right, Teddy was a camp counselor at a camp he'd been going to for years. So Teddy at this camp, he had been going as a kid, and now he was finally a counselor as an adult. So this was Teddy's first rodeo. Basically, this was his first time ever being a camp counselor. So Teddy was a little bit nervous because, he had a lot of responsibility. He, was kind of responsible if these kids did anything bad. He had to make sure that they were doing all right. And Teddy was a little bit nervous. So during orientation, Teddy found another camp counselor that was older, had done this program a couple times before, and he was kind of the mentor for the entire thing. And it turns out that this other guy, who we'll just call Ben, right, was actually actually turned out to be one of the camp counselors assigned in Teddy's group, because each group of kids had 2 to 3 camp counselors assigned with each other. So Teddy was pretty happy about this because he was nervous about the whole thing going down, and that made him feel a little bit better. So finally, let's skip forward to the day when camp actually started. And, Teddy was kind of nervously pacing back and forth, kind of just waiting for, the kids to arrive. And sure enough, the kids did arrive. They all came in and they all walked in. The main camp dude or the administrative staff would kind of disperse the kids into the appropriate groups. So Teddy and Ben, the camp counselor, and one other guy were kind of standing around in their group area, which was the Apple group or something. I don't know. They had dumb names for it. And Teddy was watching as all these kids started to come, walk over, and they're like, hey, what's up? And Teddy had to go immediately into camp counselor mode. No matter how nervous or concerned he was like, hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Camp Clara. It's named my dog, so we're going to call it Camp Clara. Welcome to Camp Clara. Y'all are going to have such a great time. I can't even explain it. Stand around here, get to know each other, just talk around a little bit. But honestly, Teddy was pretty nervous about the whole thing. And that's when this girl comes over. And this girl, little did they know, was the granddaughter of someone who invented a very popular ice cream chain. It's not like Friendly's or something. It's not massive, but it's a very popular ice cream chain. I don't want to necessarily say what, because that would be giving away details. And don't speculate in the comments, because you will probably be wrong. It's very popular, but you might not know of it, right? So, to say the least, the grandfather was extremely successful. And, he took that money and grew it into even more money. He was very smart with it, too. So this granddaughter kind of had a inflated self of worth, kind of an inflated self-worth. And I don't mean she thinks that she's a good, that I don't mean she has self-worth. You should all have, you should believe that you're good, right? But she kind of had an inflated level where she believed that she was somehow above people just because her grandfather created this really cool thing. However, Teddy had no idea of any of this till later on in the story. So sure enough, this girl comes over. And we're just going to call her Spoiled Girl, because if I have another name, I will literally forget it, and you guys get mad at me when I do that. So we're just going to call her Spoiled Girl for this. So Teddy's like, hey, how's it going? What's your name? And she's like, oh, my name's Spoiled Girl. Obviously says a real name, but, Teddy's like, oh, that's awesome. My name's Teddy. This is going to be super cool. I'm so excited. This is going to be awesome. It's kind of stuff like that. And eventually, it's time for Teddy and Ben and the other camp counselor to bring the Apple group over and to kind of bring them to the, what do you call it? The playground type area, because the camp was a day camp. And they had, the first day they were just kind of orientation. It was mostly just kind of fun activities for everyone to do. And so sure enough, they bring them over to the playground. And on the playground, it was a little bit run down. Even Teddy admits it was a little bit run down, because there was it took place on this old campus of this school. However, the school was kind of very low on funding. In fact, one of the reasons why the camp was able to go there every single year is that the school was very happy to have them there, because they said, hey, if you use our campus, we want a little fee or a little percentage of what you guys make. We're not asking for much. So the school was very happy to have Teddy's camp there, because they needed the funding. But the thing was that, the playground was a little bit run down. The school thing was a little bit run down. It wasn't the greatest place to have the camp, but it worked, and there wasn't a lot of other options for them. So on this playground, there was a bunch of things that were fine. However, the swing set, there was only one functioning swing, because one of the swings was broken, the other one was completely gone, the other swing set was rusted out, and all the swings were gone. But on the first swing set, there was one totally fine swing. And that's when the spoiled girl, so they all like the big group, the apple group, and it was like the apple group, the strawberry group, the banana group, whatever. It was the apple group's turn to go to the playground. And sure enough, before that, the apple group was waiting because the banana group went over there, and the apple group went around and said a little. I forgot to say this earlier because this is important for the story. But before the what did I say? The apple group. If I said something else, they're the apple group now. So before the apple group was allowed to go on the playground, the apple group played this game. And it was the spoiled girl, Teddy, Ben, and all the other kids in this group. And Ben was like, all right, guys, so we're going to wait. Since we're waiting to go on the playground because the banana group's there right now, I want everyone to go around, say your name, say your age, and say a fun fact about yourself. So Ben's like, all right, I'll start. My name's Ben, I'm 22 years old, and I'm a film student in college. How about you, Teddy? Kind of passes it over, and Teddy's like, hey, my name's Teddy, I'm 19 years old, I skate in my free time. And it kind of went around the circle like that until it reached the spoiled girl. The spoiled girl's like, hey, my name's Spoiled Girl, says her real name, like Alice or something. I am 13 years old, and my grandfather founded the Clara the ice cream chain, which it's not a real chain, but like imagine one that's a lot bigger. And everyone was like, not everyone, about a third of the kids were like, oh, really? Like, I love going there. That's one of my favorite places to go. And like immediately Teddy was like, oh shoot, like that's pretty legit. And he looks over and he sees the spoiled girl's face, and she just kind of has this look of being like all proud or whatever. And Teddy could just know right away that like, okay, this girl definitely is carrying a bit of an ego, but who cares, bro? She's 13, like, her worldview is a little bit warped, like, whatever, man. As long as she's chill other than this, like, yeah, totally fine. I don't really care. So there's a bunch of people in the Apple group that were like, oh my god, like, you're so cool. I can't believe your grandfather made that ice cream place. I love going there with my parents. Stuff like that. So that's how Teddy and everyone else realized that she was the granddaughter of someone who owns a really cool fast ice cream chain. So sure enough, eventually, a little later on, it was time for the Apple group to go and, it was time for the Apple group to go to the playground. So they walk out there. And as I said earlier in the video, there's only one functioning swing. And immediately, the spoiled girl runs up to the swing. And, she sits in it. And Teddy's like, all right, well, just so you know, the swing's very popular. We're going to have to do like 5-minute rotations because like there's only one functioning swing. It's probably the most popular thing that anyone does here. So after 5 minutes, spoiled girl, I'm going to come back and then formal, like kind of just tell me like who else wants to be up and next in line. And I'll make like imaginary line in my head. So about like 5, 6, 7 other kids kind of form a line. And, Teddy kind of goes around, kind of gets their name and writes it down on his phone or whatever. He's like, all right, in 5 minutes, spoiled girl, I'm going to come back, and Jose over here is going to take your place. So 5 minutes go by, and Teddy, gets an alarm on his phone. He finds Jose. He's like, hey, Jose, come over here. And, he walks over with Jose. And the spoiled girl is sitting on the swing, and she is like, really mid-swing. She's like, I don't know if you guys have like been on a swing before. If you haven't, bro, you're missing out. Those things are fire. They can also make you feel kind of sick. But she was like going really far up, really far back. She was not having any indication of slowing down. So Teddy very politely comes up to her and is like, hey, it's Jose's turn. 5 minutes are up. When we come out here tomorrow, you can always go back in the swing. And the spoiled girl goes on to exclaim that, she believes that, like, no, like, I'm going to keep swinging. Like, I'm special. Like, why can't I have the special swing? And Teddy kind of presses her because he's like, all right, now, like, what do you mean by that? Teddy's like, hey, like, we got, no. It's every 5 minutes, like, we got to have a new person. The swing's very popular, and since there's only one of it, we have to divvy it up. Like, there's plenty of other stuff in the playground for you to use, and you can always come here tomorrow. Like, we're going to be here tomorrow. There's no shortage of swings. And the spoiled girl is not stopping swinging at all. She continues to swing, like, with big swings or whatever, and, she's like, no, like, you know that I'm special, and I told you why. My grandfather made the so-and-so ice cream chain, so I should be able to swing here. Like, because he added so much to society, why can't I reap the rewards a little bit? And at this point, Teddy's like, oh boy. So he's like, 1 second, Jose. And Teddy, like, walks over to Ben and is like, yo, dude, I need your help. And Ben's like, yeah, what's up? And, Teddy's like, dude, I explains the situation. And Ben's like, all right, well, here's the thing. Since you're new here, like, Normally, I would say, I'll just go ahead and handle this, but, this is good experience, man. You should learn how to do this. What I would do is I go up to her and just tell her that everyone at this camp is equal, and you got to explain why. And Teddy's like, oh, man, that's awkward. And Ben's like, bro, like, you got to, like, sorry, dude, like, you got to do that. I don't know how else to say it. So Teddy eventually pulls himself together and is like, you know what, this kid's right. He goes over, he walks over to the spoiled girl, and is like, hey, I need you to stop swinging for a second. So the spoiled girl drags her legs in the sand below, and the swing stops, and she looks up. And Teddy's like, hey, I need you to get off the swing. Your 5 minutes were up like 3 minutes ago. And the spoiled girl's like, but I told you who my grandfather is. And Teddy kind of like looks at her and is like, hey, that's not how we do it around here. I need you to know that everyone at the school, no matter who their parents are, no matter what they do, no matter who they are, they're exactly the same at this camp. Everyone at this camp is an equal, and everyone will be treated the same way. But she's like, but we're not equal. Like, my grandfather did, like, incredible things. And, Teddy says, yes, he did. However, like, that does not impact who you are. And even if you were the one who made these, like, the ice cream chain at camp here, at Camp Clara, it doesn't matter. We're all treated exactly the same. We're all equals. We're all humans here. And, the spoiled girl, in a lot of my videos, the spoiled girl or the spoiled kid or whatever would normally have a rage here. However, she was kind of understanding. She was like, oh, like, that's interesting. I never thought of it that way. And she gets off the swing, and Jose hops on. And, Teddy kind of has to change his list a little bit because they're down 4 minutes now because she was on extra. And, she goes up to Teddy, the spoiled girl, and is like, I'm sorry, like, I never really thought of it that way. I was just like, that's how I always believed things. And Teddy's like, you know what, it's fine. I don't really blame you. Thank you for being understanding. And the thing is, like, Teddy was, and the spoiled girl walked away to go do something else. And, Teddy was kind of understanding. Not that that was an okay way to view the world, but if that's, like, what you believe, if that's all you knew, if that's what she was taught as a child, like, that's more on the parents than on her. Anyway, so the next subscriber story, we're going to call the subscriber who submitted this one Harvey. So anyways, Harvey was in class, and in this class, there's this kid who we're going to call the spoiled kid, and he was incredibly spoiled. This kid believed that he was I don't know, a first-class citizen, and everyone else was peasants. That he was like the king of the class or something ridiculous. And he was also a new kid too. So Harvey came in one day, and it was one of the first days of school. And this new kid was immediately sat in the back in the first couple days, but he was actually late one of these days. He was late by a minute or two. So Harvey's sitting in class, and the spoiled kid, who's new, remember, so he's still getting to know people, walks in a couple minutes late, and the teacher's like, hey, spoiled kid, welcome. I am going to ask you don't be late a couple minutes late like this. I know it's only a couple minutes, but that stuff really adds up. And the spoiled kid says, yeah, sorry, I was I was a little late, my fault. And the spoiled kid's like, hey, actually, can I talk to you? And the teacher's like, I don't know, like, sure, like, we can do that after class. And the spoiled kid's like, hey, I'm sorry, can we do it right now? And the teacher's like, I am in the middle of teaching, so I'd really prefer to do it after class. And the spoiled kid's like, it really can't wait. So the teacher, kind of unhappy about this, is like, okay, whatever, sure, send. Like, what's up? Like, make it quick, though. And the spoiled kid goes on to say that, he believes that, he deserves that he should sit in the front of the class, and he shouldn't just sit in the front of the class, but the entire first row and the 3 seats behind him should be left empty so that he has plenty of leg room and space. Everyone in the class went silent after he said that. Real quick, if you made it this far into the video, comment spoiled down below. I just like to see how many people made it this far. And also, if you want to support the channel, the best way to do so is after this video, go ahead and watch another one of my videos. It really does support me. And let me know in the comment sections what you were doing while watching these videos. And most important, Spotify. We just launched it about a week ago. Every video on this channel goes up there, and they normally go up 1 or 2 hours early. So Spotify is the first link in the description. Please rate mine. I'm a one-person team. Please rate my Spotify account 5 stars. There's a way to do that on the podcast, and also follow and like if you haven't already. If you want to submit these stories, my Instagram and Twitter are both at ConnorPugs. They're in the description, and they're the only way you can submit stories as of now. I have a TikTok account. We have a Discord server. Use code ConnorPugs for 10% off gamer subs. And finally, let's get right back into it. So Harvey's sitting in this class, and he's just looking at this kid, right, this spoiled kid, who is standing in front of the entire class at this point, basically demanding in front of everyone. And remember, he's the new kid here. He doesn't know anyone. He doesn't have any like social clout or anything. And that doesn't necessarily mean, I'm not saying that like if he was clouded up or something, or he was well liked, that he could pull this off. I'm just saying that it's even more absurd because he wasn't well liked. He didn't really have a rating yet. He was an unknown. And on the third day of class, he comes in and demands that he get the entire front row because why? Like, because he wanted it? Because he felt like he deserved it? Because like, I just, like, Harvey was just so, like, dumbfounded by this. And the teacher looks at him, and the teacher literally says, like, why on earth would I give you that? Like, the teacher was genuinely, like, confused. The teacher genuinely wanted to know, why do you think you deserve that? And the teacher wasn't even trying to be, like, inquisitive, because maybe the teacher was trying to set him up. One might be saying, oh, the teacher just wanted him to expose how, like, insane he is and how he lives in a different world and reality isn't a thing to him. But Harvey genuinely believes the teacher was just so thrown off guard by this kid demanding that the teacher genuinely wanted to know. And the spoiled kid, it's weird. The spoiled kid, Harvey tells me, doesn't even really flinch when he says the following. He says, like, I believe that, like, like, I'm a first-class citizen and all the other people in this class are not. I'm not saying that I'm better than them. Actually, I am saying that I'm better than them. But don't take it personally, guys. And the spoiled kid looks at the entire class and is like, don't take it personally. And then the spoiled kid's like, please, like, it would really make me feel more comfortable if I had the entire front row to myself as well as the 3 seats behind me. Like, I'm not asking for the entire second row. I'm just asking for the first row and the 3 seats directly behind me. And the teacher looked at him and just kind of gave him this look of like, is this a bit? Is this a comedy special? Like, dude, I seriously can't understand what's going on. And Harvey was sitting there and kind of just like looked at his classmates. And Harvey's friend Ben, who's sitting next to him, like Harvey turns to him. He's like, bro, what on earth is going on right now? And Ben mutters under his breath. He's like, yo, this kid's crazy, dude. And Harvey looks up, and the spoiled kid almost has a look of, like, concern on his face. Not a look of concern because, like, oh, my God, I just said something insane, and my whole class is going to feel bad about, like, not going to feel bad, but my entire class is going to hate me. No. The look of concern was, oh, shoot, I might not actually get this. Like, I might actually not get the insane demand that I requested. And the teacher's just looking at the spoiled kid, and she just starts shaking her head. And she's like, no, I will not give you the entire front row. I will not, like, that's insane. And the teacher goes off a little bit on him. The teacher goes on to say, well, like, that's absurd and offensive that you think that you're some kind of first-class citizen and that everyone else in my class isn't. I've just started to teach these kids, I've seen them grow up over the last couple of years or whatever. Then, like, from the little experience I have, they're all great quality people. They're all really good kids. And I'm not so sure if there are going to be different, like, classes of kids, I'm not sure, like, why they wouldn't be first class and you would be second class by the way that you're saying that. Wasn't necessary that she said that little part, no, but is she right? Yeah, low-key. Like, if you're coming and thinking that you're better than someone else and saying that publicly, no, not so nonchalantly, there's definitely something wrong with you, man. And probably it's blaming on the parents in this case, but we don't know what the situation's like. And the spoiled kid is, like, taken aback a little bit. He's like, I'm sorry, ma'am, to offend you. I wasn't trying to be offensive with what I was asking. I just genuinely believe this, and it's to my comfort. And I think it's to the comfort of the rest of the class, too. And, some kid in the back of the class is like, we never agreed to this. And another kid's like, Miss Davenport, like, you're not actually going to give him that, right? And the spoiled kid turns to the class and is like, don't you want me to be comfortable? And Harvey's just looking at this kid, and Harvey can't tell if this kid is legitimately, like, one of the most clueless kids on the planet, or if this kid is trying to be, like, genuinely manipulative just to get what he wants. Harvey, at this point, honestly couldn't figure out which was which. So the teacher says, like, no, absolutely not. Like, sit down. Your requests will not be granted. The spoiled kid said, okay, well, I mean, the offer is always on the table, and it would make me more comfortable. The spoiled kid wasn't even having, like, a hissy fit about it. He wasn't having an insane tantrum or anything. He just genuinely kind of was like, okay, like, if that's really how you want to do it, which is pretty insane in my opinion, but What are you going to do about it? Honestly, what are you going to do about it? So the kid sits in front of, the kid actually sits right in front of Harvey. And Harvey just turns to his friend and is just like, yo. And this kid starts like stretching back a little bit. You know how you're like in a seat or whatever? And Harvey had like some books that were on the edge of his desk. And when the spoiled kid like moved, because like the spoiled kid was like reclining back in his chair to stretch, the spoiled kid kind of bumps into Harvey's books a little bit. The spoiled kid makes a complete 180 and turns around, looks at Harvey. He's like, hey man, like, can you move your books out of my space? And Harvey just looked at this kid. Because remember, this kid was sitting in his chair and he leaned all the way back so that he would bump into the books on Harvey's desk. It wasn't like these books were like, I don't know, falling off of Harvey's desk, or these books were placed on, you know, the spoiled kid's desk. This kid leaned all the way back and bumped into stuff on Harvey's desk. And he said, can you like move that out of my space? Harvey, not trying to have any like confrontation or anything, kind of scoots his desk back a little bit. But at that point on, like, Harvey just knew that this kid was something else. So for the rest of the year, it's sad to say, but this kid, understandably, didn't make any friends. And about halfway through the year, he left the school because he wasn't making any friends. He wasn't having a good time. And his parents put some post on Facebook about how everyone was so cruel by not being friends with him, which in reality, right, people weren't friends with him because he said that they were all second-class citizens on the third day of class. Like, that's ridiculous. Sure, this kid wasn't necessarily, like, the meanest spoiled kid we've had on the channel, but Harvey kind of felt bad, but also kind of didn't feel bad, which is understandable.